The Clone Wars, as always, continue onward. And we move on to the second arc of Season 6, so come with me as I continue to watch through the Clone Wars for the first time. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Here we are once again, further into Season 6 this time, and what I'm going to go ahead and call the Banking Clan or the Clovis arc. One of those two, I think, describes this one. So let's jump on in. First up, we've got the episode An Old Friend. So first off, we've got a planet I don't think we've seen yet in Clone Wars, Scipio, home of the Banking Clan and the Moons. So it looks like we're going to take a look at a bit of the larger politics this time. And then, hey, look, it's our bounty hunter hat guy, Embo. The really cool hat shield thing. Oh, yeah. Always fun. And his dog. What is that dog? It's not really a dog per se. Whatever the Star Wars equivalent is of a kind of dog-wolf thing going on there. So we get to see the Council of Five of the Banking Clan because Padme is popping in to make sure that a certain loan and money transfer actually goes through because apparently they haven't been giving out money. And looky, it's Clovis. Haven't seen him in a while. And he definitely looks older. I mean, dang, it has been seasons and seasons since we saw him. I remember way back I wondered if we'd see him again. And to be honest, I kind of almost forgotten about Clovis by this point in time. It's just been so long. That said, it's cool to see Clovis again. And by the way, Padme completely blows up over Clovis of all people being in there, a known separatist. Yeah, no kidding. I would be surprised if he didn't blow up a little over letting him be the one in there. But Clovis won't be deterred that easily. Oh, no. He's going to sneak up into her room. Yeah, that's not worrisome at all. Of course, Padme, right on the defensive, gun right up in his face. No problem there. Nice to see that. Well, apparently we find out that, guess what? The Banking Clan is on the verge of collapse. There's actually no real money in the accounts because the economics of the war just aren't adding up. Dun, 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 dun. So now it's time for a bank heist to go get records out of the vault and find out the proof that the Five are actually guilty of some kind of nasty corruption. And then Clovis starts getting shot at by Embo, our bounty hunter. And I gotta tell you, it feels like a setup right off the bat. Either that or Embo is just a really horrible shot. Take your pick. I don't get the feeling that Embo was a horrible shot. And just to add to this feeling, Padme now contacts Palpatine, who says, oh yeah, you should go trust Clovis and your previous opinion of him, and you should investigate this. Yet now you know something's definitely up. There's bigger stuff at work. Well, they get access to the vault. That was pretty easy. And it's bank heist time. And I gotta say, off the bat, Tekla, Padme's assistant, her inclusion here just set me off the bat. I'm like, something odd is going on here. Otherwise, why do we even care about her? Why is she here? And, well, yeah. So Clovis ends up getting held behind. He can't go set the bomb that's going to be set. So Tekla has to go do it. And as Tekla does it, she gets killed by Embo. Interesting. Not in a way that stops the bomb from going off, because no, the bomb still goes off, which allows our little bank heist to happen. And Padme easily succeeds and gets out of the vault. And we see that Diddy checks out. Yeah, there's nothing in those accounts. Surprise! Not really. And then Padme gets arrested for espionage. Yo, no diplomatic immunity right there. Now, there'll probably still some difference because then Anakin and R2 show up and Anakin gets her out of there after she's been in jail for 3 days, apparently. But what's more interesting here is the conversation between Anakin and Padme, because Anakin blows up after finding out that Clovis was involved. How in the world could you trust Clovis again? Maybe I should just leave you here, yada yada. Whoa, damn. Speaking about anger and lashing out and whatnot, I mean, don't get me wrong. Finding out Clovis is involved, understandably, it's a bit frustrating, but still, the reaction is bigger than you would think it should be. And this makes sense. This is Anakin, and this also is back to Anakin's problems in the first place. Yeah, there's a reason what happens later happens, right? Well, before they can go off the planet, well, they're going to have to head back to Clovis's residence because they, need the actual records, which Clovis has at this point in time. And so they get there, they find Clovis, we have the records, but Embo, our bounty hunter, starts shooting at them. And so now their speeder is no longer going to work up in the air, so it turns into a bobsled, and we're doing this big chase sequence. And Embo actually takes his hat off and essentially turns it into a snowboard and just starts snowboarding down the hill after them. I gotta say, this feels like somebody was doing a little bit of On His Majesty's Secret Service, a bit of a James Bond thing going. Although the very end of it, off the cliff, maybe say a little The Spy Who Loved Me instead. Definitely gave me that feel, though, especially On His Majesty's Secret Service. Oof, yeah. And frankly, it was a fun chase scene, I will definitely say. Well, anyway, they get out, they get at the end, they get to the ship, and they're off. And now, surprise, surprise, Embo contacts Darth Sidious, who says the mission was a success. Yeah, I kind of figured. The episode treated this as a giant twist. It really didn't feel like one. It was a little bit predictable, but hey, it was still enjoyable. It just didn't pull me in as much as I would have liked it to, but it was okay enough. Certainly I enjoyed it. On to the second episode, the Rise of Clovis. So we open up on the five just panicking. Things are not going well. And then we see, a betrayer contact Darth Sidious, because more people talking to Darth Sidious. He's just got his fingers everywhere in here. Which means you might think there was an easier way for him to accomplish whatever he's going for if he's got his fingers everywhere already anyway, right? Well, meanwhile, Padme, Anakin, Clovis get back to Coruscant to meet Yoda and the guards at the Senate building over on Coruscant. And then they all head on into Palpatine's chambers. And, we've got a whole bunch of the Jedi Council, and also Bail Organa's there, which is always cool to see Bail. Funny that he and Padme are the only senators, but I think there would be some others in there too. Well, then Palpatine gets to be a bit more of an insidious bastard, as he tells Padme to work closely with Clovis and spearhead the investigation. Yeah. Can't possibly see why you're doing that. And that leads to another conversation? No. Heated argument between Anakin and Padme, which even gets to the line of Anakin saying, "As your husband, I demand you step down." Wow, buddy. Way over the line. Damn. You can guess that didn't go over well. And Padme left. And yeah. Yeah. Well, because nothing can go easy, we move on, and Palpatine contacts Dooku to tell him that, hey, he needs to re-recruit Clovis. And then they're going to give control of the banking clan to Clovis, and then we'll make sure that he has nowhere else to turn. Big evil laugh. Although they didn't do it, but it might as well have been. I mean, dang, it is heavy-handed in exposition. The last episode was too, and so is this one. Now here's another really neat spot. Obi-Wan and Anakin have this conversation over in Anakin's room. And by the way, it's a cool room actually too. You just see him working on some mechanics of some sort over at this desk. Well, Obi-Wan, it's not a surprise that he's caught on a little bit to Anakin and Padme. Now, he doesn't know to the extent that they're actually married, clearly. But he's trying to talk to Anakin there. And he even mentions Satine and his feelings there. But Anakin defensively, it's all just, hey, we're just friends. That's all there is. No opening up about that. Probably in part because it's a lot more than even Obi-Wan's thinking it is. I mean, if you told him you're married, oh man, what a mess. Still, if you'd actually told Obi-Wan you were married, dang, things might have gone differently. You never know. But this conversation afterwards, it's not like Anakin's gonna tell Obi-Wan after this. It must remain that way as just friends and da-da-da-da-da. Your duty to the council and yeah. I mean, this kind of talk is not gonna give Anakin a reason to end up opening up to you in the end. Yeah, what a mess. What a frelling mess. And by the way, if Obi-Wan has caught on to the fact that you and Padme are more than just friends, you think Palpy's caught on to it? For other people that are incredibly close to Anakin, yeah, probably. Just like Ahsoka hinted toward the fact that she probably had caught on to it back at the end of season 5 as well. That little bit of a line between them. Yeah, the people who are closest to you, they're catching on to it. I mean, it's hard to miss that much between the two of you. Dang. Still, that conversation, it adds nice depth to other things and the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. And it's another one of those spots that feels like it could have been a turning point if things had gone differently. If you were to make a Star Wars theory and say, what if Anakin had actually opened up to Obi-Wan right there during that conversation? What would have happened? How would things have gone differently? Well, for another time. In the meantime, Padme and Clovis are also having their own fun time upstairs at Padme's apartment. And they see all the proof they need, which we kind of already knew the proof was there, but they're looking through it, checking it all out. And then we get into a little more of Clovis's character, talks about how the Munes are good people and how he was raised and the problems he's had a little bit earlier in life. It's a nice little character depth to add to him. And then he's an absolute whoa. So Padme denies she's in a relationship with Anakin, and she's clearly been given signals that she doesn't want to go further. But hey, no, well, then there's no reason to not kiss. That doesn't mean you just get to force a kiss, bud. The fuck? Anyway, Padme objects right as Anakin walks in the door. You can just make a guess that this does not go well. Boom! Instant anger and a force choke out of Anakin, who then slams Clovis against a wall, and then, well, let's just say a giant one-sided fight ensues. Anakin consumed by anger during the course of this. Eventually, Anakin catches himself. Nothing else really breaks through to him, but somehow something does inside his own head, and he stops. But man, Anakin beat up Clovis really well. I suppose, luckily for Anakin, Clovis may have figured out what's going on between Padme and Anakin already, but he chooses to say it was an attack from someone else when Padme's security comes in, and Anakin's like, well, if that's what the man says, yes, that's what happened. Well, and afterwards, Anakin looks incredibly remorseful, but Padme, understandably, stay away from me. And that brings us into a later scene we have between Padme and Anakin. Really nice one, too. Well, not nice as in it's happy, but nice to see a scene like this. Talk about how Padme's seen the marriage is not a marriage if there isn't any trust. Their relationship is built on lies and deception. No marriage can survive that. And Padme says, I just know that I'm not happy. I don't feel safe. And I think it's best if we don't see each other for a while. Yeah. These are things we just don't tend to ever devote any time to. Which would be nice because there's a lot of depth to go into here. But, it's nice to see this addressed a little. Because their relationship, while on the surface you want to root for them during the prequels, there's a lot of messiness here. It's hinted toward during the course of episode 2, and it's hinted toward a little bit in the course of episode 3 as well, but we certainly don't have time to get into that in those. Here, this touches on it at least. And nicely, by the way, Anakin respects her wishes and walks away. Credit right there. Credit for doing the thing you should be doing, of course. Well, and back to the plotline. So, Dooku uses a droid to contact Clovis over in his quarters, because guess what? He's going to give him the location of the hidden accounts and all that information, but, just going to try to get Clovis under his thumb, as Sidious told him to go ahead and do. Because apparently Dooku and the Separatists haven't been paying back their loans, which apparently is part of the whole reason for the potential collapse of the banking clan. So essentially he gets Clovis to go take it because, hey, you want to avoid the collapse of the clan, right? Okay. And then we move on to this whole thing, and Clovis ends up becoming the new leader of the banking clan, because the Separatist leadership has given them their confidence, and Palpatine also says he'll support him. What a surprise. And the traitor and Separatist collaborator overwhelmingly wins, which seems absurd on its face, but I suppose if Palpatine, Padme, the Separatists, everyone is in favor, well, I suppose it's not a giant surprise. Although I did notice that Bail Organa voted against him. At least somebody voted against. Jeez. And to end this episode, we get a little moment between Palpatine and Anakin. Little, my boy, I can tell this has been a difficult time. I've known you too long not to see something that's troubling you. God, just those subtle manipulations right there. Of course he knows. He already knows exactly what's going on. Bastard. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So that's another episode done. Now, I have mixed feelings. Let's just say that much. So there is some good stuff in here. The really good stuff, especially is the Anakin Padme stuff and the Anakin Obi-Wan stuff. But the plot, the main point of this arc, so much useless exposition it feels like. And it didn't really feel like a lot really happened in the episode in terms of the arc. I don't know, it just feels a little clumsy sometimes. It's still a good enough episode though, but I have really mixed feelings on it. Well, let's just jump right into the next one, Crisis at the Heart. So we jump over to Scipio and we're doing the transfer of power, and Padme goes over there to Scipio along with Clovis, and also a Separatist minister pops up to go ahead and watch what's going on. Unsurprisingly, the transfer goes just fine. But then, dun dun dun, Clovis is up in his room and Dooku contacts him. You never saw that coming. Well, Clovis at least first says that, hey, sorry, bud, I've got to be impartial. And Dooku first tries to blackmail Clovis. Hey, I'm going to reveal it all. Which Clovis says, nah, I'll reveal it first. And so then Dooku next says, well, then fine, I'm going to threaten to not repay the Separatist loans. No, that'll destroy the banking clan and the banking system if you don't repay them. I will do whatever you want. I'll be a Separatist puppet. What? Because the only way that Dooku's going for this is, hey, I'm not going to pay our loans back, which will apparently destroy the banking clan and the banks, unless you go ahead and raise the interest on the Republic loans. Which, of course, will also result in the exact same thing, because then the Republic feels betrayed and will go to war. And Padme says Clovis would clearly know this, and Clovis would clearly know this. So how the heck is that somehow a better option to you? If the option is Dooku says, guess what, I'm not going to repay the loans, which apparently will for sure lead to the destruction of the banking clan, unless you go ahead and do something that will lead to the destruction of the banking clan, then why the frell do you go ahead and do what the guy says? Whatever. Doesn't make any dang sense. I guess he was just so full of himself that he somehow thought he could get it to then work. But if you're that full of yourself anyway, why not think you could make it work without having to be Dooku's puppet? Oh well. So unsurprisingly, the Senate's in uproar, and then hey, Dooku decides he's going to make a Separatist attack on Scipio, because that will make Clovis look like a Separatist. And so he kills a whole bunch of clones and lands his troops on the planet. Although let me ask for a second, how does that make Clovis look like a Separatist more than he already did by raising the taxes, specifically only on the Republic? That kind of makes it look to me like the Separatists landed there and are then controlling him, not that Clovis of his own free will would decide to be a Separatist. I mean, if you got a gun to your head and you're having to do it, that doesn't make it look like you're quite as bad as you were before. Well, anyway, this leads to the Republic Senate, unsurprisingly, easily having an emergency meeting and sending a fleet over to Scipio. Anakin is in charge of it, because Palpatine says, I feel it's only right that you should handle this matter, my boy. A lot will soon be entrusted to you. Yeah, back to ingratiating Anakin, just a little bit more while we're at it. Yeah. And making him confront Clovis and Padme, you know that's going to push him probably a little further too. You know he's up to that. Dooku's leaving the planet now, and he gets to laugh with Sidious about how the banks will end up under the control of the Supreme Chancellor. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy? However that phrase goes. Dang, you people don't have to walk us through every bit of the plan. I think we can figure it out. Well, anyway, Dooku abandons the planet in the wake of the Republic fleet, and Clovis is clearly lost. Anakin pops up into there, and, well, Clovis puts a gun to Padme's head when he shows up. Tense situation. I don't think Anakin was leaving his feelings out of this one right here. And to lead to the end of this, a fighter crashes into the building during the course of the battle, and, well, they all start tumbling toward the edge, and Anakin catches the two of them hanging off the edge, but, well, he's just not powerful enough to save them both. So eventually Clovis lets go and falls to his death to save Padme and, well, to avoid living with the situation that's arisen and the guilt that he has. And so then Padme is, so sorry, Anakin, you were right about Clovis. Frustrating. We just say that's frustrating. So now everything is just fine between the two of them again. Well, fine on the surface anyway. I mean, when you were that wrong about Clovis and then just had your life saved, you know, I can grant why that would bring the two of them back together at that point, but oh man, what a mess under the surface. I'm going to guess that we probably will never come back to that in the course of Clone Wars. It's just a guess. There just isn't enough time left for me to expect much more to be dealt with on that. Oh, and just to go end the plot. Back at the Senate, the banking clan cedes control of the banks to the office of the Chancellor of the Republic. And Palpatine has his speech that echoes his emergency powers acceptance speech. Safety and security, nationalism. Although we do end on a concerned-looking Padme. So, this episode, it was decent, let's put it that way. It's a case of good mixed with bad. I have a hard time coming down one specific way because there are things I really like, and then there's some stuff I really just don't. I feel like it was some good stuff clumsily done. And to be honest, while I also like some of the relationship stuff, I'm also frustrated that it just ended too, and I don't think we'll come back to it and get to go deeper into it. But that's certainly understandable. And think about where we go in Revenge of the Sith and what ends up happening. This, I think, also helps set up some of that better, and that's certainly a good thing. Even if you could read some of it between the lines, this puts it a little more exposed, a little more depth to it than when there was before. So yeah, on the arc as a whole, as I said, I have mixed feelings. Overall, I enjoyed it though, definitely. Sometimes I think there's a little too little nuance in the arc, and sometimes too much exposition, and let's be frank, it can be a little convoluted in this plot, to be honest. But some fun action scenes in here too, like Embo snowboarding, that really stands out in here. But hey, even with all of this, the overall schemes of Sidious, overall, they're still enjoyable to watch play out. Watch him get control of the banks now. Yeah, of course he does. I doubt we'll really go into how he controls the courts as much as he does, but that's a different matter. We'll probably take a little more storytelling in a way that Clone Wars doesn't tend to like going. Clone Wars tends to feel it needs action. Heavily needs action. So we don't probably go that way to see it. But that's okay. Ultimately, I liked this arc well enough, but I felt it could have been so much more than it was. And hey, let's just go to this. So what about you? What did you think of the Clovis banking clan arc? And is Embo one of your favorite bounty hunters? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like and share it with anyone you think will too. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done it already. I'll see you back here again tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day and may the Force be with you always.